Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 1% Frequency Podcast. And I have an episode for you today that I think is going to blow your mind. I'm sure it will. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it will. Because I have one of the most incredible people here with me today, Adrian Hall of Crystalline Emotion. And I remember meeting Adrian. We were in a mastermind together over a year ago. And I'm just going to say this openly. There are very few people that I'm impressed with. Because in this industry, there are a lot of people who are great coaches. There are a lot of people who they're good at leading people, but there are very few people who are bringing through something original, something that has never been done before. And I remember meeting Adrian and I was like, whoa, like she's different. Like she is bringing through codes. She's bringing through, it's not even frameworks. It's a frequency. It's a way of understanding, way of being with energy, with emotion that I have never seen done that way before. And she's also working with human design, which is going to be a part of our conversation. But today, the conversation that we want to have with all of you is we recently did an Instagram Live on Adrian's profile. Go back, find it if you want to listen to it because it was absolutely fabulous. We received a lot of amazing feedback from people who listened to it. But one of the topics that we touched on in that live was this, what we both see is that there is this new, like, Adrian calls a new breed of leaders coming through. And it's a new wave of mostly women who are coming here now in this time on Earth, which is a very interesting time to be in, to lead in a totally new way, in a totally different way. And there is going to be, that's my prediction, a lot of leaders getting really big in this year, in the next year, that have been maybe a little bit more in the background up until this point, learning, observing, doing the work. And now their time has come because some of us actually came onto planet Earth to assist in what is happening right now. Like we were literally sent here to help humanity navigate these times, which are times of an enormous shift, a shift of an era like the one that humanity has never seen before. And today we want to have a conversation about something that Adrian brought up in that live, which she said this new wave of leaders is going to be uncorruptible. And I remember when she said that, I was like I had like goosebumps. I was like, that's it. Like, that's it. Because so many of us, we've seen power corrupted. We even equate power with control, power with domination. There are a lot of people who don't even know that it's possible to completely disentangle those two things, that power does not need to be entangled with control. And for a lot of us in our subconscious, it's completely entangled as one thing. And the reality is that then we have people, who go and they're like, no, I'm not going to have much power. I'm going to push away power. I'm going to push away influence. I'm going to push away impact. I'm going to push away money because I believe that if I have those things, I'm going to somehow be corrupted and I'm going to hurt and harm other people through it. And then we have people on the other side who go after having more and more and more power because they do have those exact desires, which is to dominate, to control, to coerce. And the truth is that that is not what power is. That is not what leadership is. None of those things have anything to do with a true definition, true frequency of power, true frequency of leadership. And yet, as we're finding ourselves in this very interesting time, this also beckons this question of like, what does it look like to have uncorruptible leaders? Because if I say, think of a leader who is literally uncorrupted, who is showing their integrity, like, do you have anyone who comes to mind? If we look around the world, if we look at the world leaders, like, I don't know. I don't have one. Do you have one, Adrian?
No, I mean, maybe like smaller, like not on like maybe the world stage, but like maybe people that I have had contact with or that I know, but even still.
Right. Exactly. And so we want to have a conversation around this, like the times that we're finding ourselves in, the 2027 shift and this new wave leadership that is now I talked about it, like part of this podcast, the tagline is like talking about new wave leadership. And I think we are now finally at the point where it's happening. Like it is here. It's not something that I'm like, it's about to happen. It's about to happen. It is happening. And
Yes.
I'm so excited to have this conversation. I have never heard a conversation like that in the online space. And I'm just so excited to see what's going to unfold here. So Adrian, please introduce yourself to the listeners of the podcast. Tell us about your work as well. And tell us a little bit about how you started doing this work, because it's just such a beautiful paradigm. It's really leading a new paradigm, a different paradigm. And then we're going to take it from there.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. It is an honor and a pleasure. And I have to say, I had a similar experience with you in the mastermind where we met. It was like, I mean, lots of powerful women in the room, but when you came on, I was like, hello. I was like, what's this? Like standing out. I was like, she's it, you know? And it was like, it's what you talk about, but it's also who you are. Like it comes across like clear as a bell. And I feel like that's a real testament to the work that you do. And we'll talk a little bit more. Like I have a topic that I want to bring up with you. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. But to answer your question, I have a history of 17 years as a marriage and family therapist and a registered art therapist. And I mention the art therapist part because it does have an impact on how 5D emotion came through. So it's a wild thing. And I think that you can also relate to this in your story, that how we're prepared, how everything is happening and compounding, leading us exactly towards what we're here to do. And sometimes we have no idea. No idea. So being a marriage and family therapist for 17 years, like what was I doing? I was sitting across the room from people and watching, feeling their emotional system. And that's exactly what I'm tuned in to feel as a triple water Cancer, Sun and Rising and Scorpio Moon. I'm an emotional projector, a 4/6. So it's like my entire aura, my entire design is built to like look at these things and track these things. And at a certain point in time, I think it was 2000, when the Mayan calendar ended, I went to Costa Rica, not thinking like I was already kind of like a little woo woo, but like I wasn't totally there. And I went on this trip and I was like with one of my best friends. And I was like, man, I feel like I've accomplished everything I've wanted to accomplish in my life. Like I was an entrepreneur. I had a business. I had my license as a therapist. Like I was like, check. Like what next? And it was a little depressing. I was kind of depressed. And my friend and I were like, let's go to Costa Rica for 11 days. We go to Costa Rica. I come back. Like I had an incredible experience and I came back and I was totally a different person. And someone was like, did you just have like a really great vacation? And I was like, I don't know. Like I couldn't. And one of my friends was like super spiritual. And she's like, babe, you're having a spiritual awakening. I was like, what? And she's like, yeah. And so she started telling me this stuff and I like, that whole story unfolded. So I started to like meditate until I was like, I think I need to start like meditating, as you do like in a spiritual awakening, you start to like clear up a bunch of stuff and you start to get more connected. Well, fast forward a few years, I'm developing my spirituality and it's like my clients are talking to me, my therapy clients are talking to me and they're like, I don't even know why I go to the psychic because you always tell me what's going to happen.
The
Like,
triple water curse.
I was
just
like,
know.
okay. Yeah. And so it was like, and people would always tell me like, oh, you're super psychic. And I'm like, what? So one day I get on like a webinar, as you do as a woo-woo person, to like learn about eclipses or some shit. And then like this person comes on and is like, so welcome to how to be a trained psychic. And I'm like, what? And then this woman starts talking and she's like talking directly to me. You know what I'm saying? She's like, you've probably had this experience, this experience, this experience. And I'm like, what? Like, what? And so I end up signing up to like become trained to be a psychic. So I go through this whole program and my guides, I'm like, so am I supposed to like do readings for people? And they're like, mm-mm. I'm like, so am I supposed to write this book on the human emotional system? You can. And I'm like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden I go, as one does, you go through a tower moment. I broke up with my twin flame. And all of a sudden, thank God I was meditating and like, through crisis, because sometimes that stuff falls off in a crisis. Meditate. Yes. And one day I'm in Mexico and Crystalline Emotion starts downloading to me. And I'm like, what? So this entire biotechnology starts downloading to me called 5D crystalline emotion. And essentially what it is like every 3D emotion that we have has a 5D frequency to it. But the only way you reach it is for your body, your energy to metabolize the emotion.
Yeah.
Now, and it's everybody knows it. It's naturally available. It's not something that I need to teach you. It's only your perception opening because 5D isn't anywhere else. It's here. It's the only difference between 3D and 5D is your perception. That's it. And 3D and 12D if you want, like it's your perception and that's all. So this created a fundamental problem with psychology because psychology is primarily mental, especially at that time. It's like 2019. And so it's like I'm sitting in the chair, I'm listening to people talking about their emotions, their trauma, and the attachment that we have to emotion. Like when we've been told our whole life our emotions aren't okay, there's a period of time where you have to go through where you're clinging to your shit. Like you're like, no, but I'm angry. No, but I'm traumatized. No, but someone did me wrong. No, but whatever it is. And I'm going, I know better. I know better. And ethically, with our standards and ethics in California, cannot bring spirituality into the room. So I couldn't sit in a room, first of all, not being able to be myself, and second of all, not being able to help my clients. And third of all, being in the lie that your mind is the one that does it. Your mind is built to understand, but understanding, we know, but understanding doesn't change shit. Are you okay if I curse? I already did a few times.
Do you know me? Like, I cannot do a sentence without saying fuck. Yeah, go wild.
I was like, so basically I was just like, I can't, like, I love my clients so much. And also like some of them are not, they need to like come to terms with things in 3D. Like they needed to do that work, but I'm just not the person to do it. And so I stepped back from doing, like active work as a therapist. I still own a counseling center and run that. And I believe in therapy because I think it's a step in the process. But I dedicated myself to really developing this biotechnology, meaning like channeling the information as it comes through, but also like living it. And I'll have to tell you, even in the last like 6 months, in the last year, the embodiment, like it doesn't matter that I know it. It doesn't matter that I know the 5D frequencies of emotion. It doesn't matter that I know how to do it. It's the nuance, it's the subtlety. And you talked about this in our conversation the other day. It was like, at this point in your evolution, in the 1%, at this point in your personal development, in this point in your level of consciousness, the big things that are going to make a real difference to you are not the things that are taking you down to your knees. I mean, you could have those moments, but it's in the subtle things. It's in the subtle things. And so that's really where the embodiment comes in, is your ability to witness yourself, the subtle things, and actually be able to metabolize that instead of immediately fixing it by being like, I already did that work. It doesn't bother me. I'm good. I'm already beyond that. Like,
You know, like I piss off so many people who come to me because we start doing subconscious work and we get to an issue, we get to the root cause, and they're like, but I know this. I've worked with this. And I'm like, babe, I don't give a shit. Like, it's here. Like, it's in your field. You have not integrated the lesson. The soul lesson isn't integrated. Subconscious lesson is. I don't give a shit if you've known about this issue for 15 years. You haven't processed it. And I've had quite a few people get pretty upset before.
it's confronting because they're right. They've done a lot of work on it before. They've maybe paid even like thousands of dollars working on it, years. But the thing of the matter is that we're infinite beings. And so we're born with this blueprint, right? And then we have experiences that create a blueprint, and we're working through the multidimensional layers of that. So it's never invalidating work that you've done before. The work that you've done before is what lets you see what else is there.
Level. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And so just to wrap up about 5D emotion, like essentially what it is everything exists at once. We all know that. Your desires, and I don't mean what you want, I mean what you came here to be, do, experience, live, create. Everything is already here. And so your desires, those things that you're here to experience, are communicating with you. It's like the Rumi quote, like, what you're seeking is seeking you. And so there's this communication that happens, and the way that communication happens is through your emotion. So whatever you're there for, like, you're going to reach this amount of people, that time and place, that vibrational space where that's true and real and you're living it, is sending you frequencies.
Yeah.
And you're getting it like a 3D emotion. You're getting it like anger, jealousy, rage, disappointment, desperation, whatever that is. None of that has anything to do with something wrong with you. That means something's trying to reach you. And so when you metabolize that through your body, what happens is a natural vibrational shift. And then you are closer to that vibrational space. Time isn't moving, we're moving vibrationally. And that's why the work with emotion is so incredible, because you don't have to go out and force anything. You don't have to try. You have to be here, receive. And every time that an emotion shifts into its 5D frequency, information unlocks. Energy and information unlocks. So you're actually receiving the instructions from your desires, which, we talked about in our mastermind, like your desires hold the instructions, and this is how. And I'm sure that this also, like, I'm curious from your perspective, like, frequency work from your perspective is probably similar. They're just you work on it or see it from a different angle, but I imagine it's,
I
works
think it's
together.
very similar. I think it's very similar in the way that, like I look at it as what I do is frequency alchemy. And it's really, and this is such an interesting thing. I remember once talking to a friend of mine he's not particularly spiritual. He's got like some of it, but not at the level that we are.
Yeah.
He called it frequency transformation. And I was like, no, it's
Mm.
transmutation.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I don't know what I mean." And then I went to everybody I was like, "It's not transformation, it's transmutation." And it was so interesting because I went home and I connected to Creator and I was like, "I need the definition of transformation versus transmutation. Like, why do I know this is transmutation?" And it's like, because it changes the essence. Transformation is just change of form, but this is the change of essence. And I was like, yes, because this is what it is. Like, we change at the core, like it's actual alchemy of like one vibrational state to another that opens up as we allow the previous one to complete. And when I work with the subconscious, right, we're looking at like what is the frequency imprint in the field. And granted, there are some that we just want to release, right? We don't need to transmute. If it's an entity or if it's an energetic commitment or an oath, we can actually, like, we need to transmute what allowed it to be there. But then the oath itself just can be sent off to Creator. But underneath it, we're transmuting things like resentment. Resentments are so huge. Rejection, regret. They're of course uttered. It shows up as an emotion, and then underneath it, there is a belief. There is an assumption about reality. But then we're always looking at like, what is the soul virtue that you're learning? And soul virtue is effectively a higher frequency, like octave of that, right? It's like your soul is actually seeking to learn a higher vibrational form that now in
Yeah.
the lower frequency it's showing up as this resentment, anger, rage, whatever it is. And so this is of course all based on theta healing framework. And I love theta healing, and of course I cannot leave it alone, so I do a lot of things like myself intuitively with it. And I recently brought more work into CO frequency that specifically works with the nervous system, because I was like, yes, this frequency work is amazing, but we need to bring in the actual feeling of the whole thing
Yeah.
explicitly. Like, I was teaching that like to people for sure, because bypassing is not an option. But now I'm
Right.
like, no, we need to like build it as a part of the framework, because it's required for this energy to move through you. Because it's like, I came up with this theory the other day. Can I share it?
Yeah.
Of like how
I would
manifestation
love
works?
that.
I was like, this is
Yeah.
brilliant. Okay. So you know how in quantum physics we're having like wave collapsing into particle, and the wave exists. It's like a superposition, right? Like the wave function has like infinite possibilities. It's like an infinite number of trajectories that it can take before then collapsing into a particle. Well, if we're looking at like us, right, it is our mind that has the capacity to hold, to like tune into different possibilities. And the different possibilities, they exist encoded in the field, like some of them in the fabric of like space-time of our universe, right? Which is each point holds like an experience. It's literally the memory of our universe. And then there's, of course, if we go into multiverse and all of this, there's like so much more available. So our mind has the capacity to tune into that, which is an equivalent of playing in the quantum. But then the body is the Newtonian, right? Like the body can exist only in one like material state at a time. Like your body, if you, let's say, have a condition, you're not going to have the condition one moment and the next one you won't, right? There's consistency to it. And so when we're bringing things into manifestation, we're essentially collapsing this like space we can perceive with our mind into the physical. But what is the conduit for the physical? It's the body, right? And this is why thoughts don't create reality, and you have to connect the thought and the feeling is then what anchors it in. And I was like, whoa, this is insane. This is literally like the collapse of like quantum to material manifestation, why it requires like the physical sensation. And it's why like the body is such a, we cannot manifest, we cannot create reality without our body playing the part.
Agreed. Like, and the thing that's wild about it is the body, even though it is absolutely in like physical form, there are things the body can do that the mind cannot possibly conceive of. Like what happened in my practice of crystalline emotion, like doing crystalline emotion in my body, and I witnessed this with all of my clients. When an emotion gets metabolized through the body, there's something that becomes available that the mind could never have guessed. The mind, it just doesn't follow like linear sequencing. It doesn't follow logic. Like the body is like a miracle. It's like, it's our ascension vehicle. So it's like, it is in the physical realm, but it also is able to do so much more. Like, how is life even created through us? Like, that is like barely understood. If you know me, you know that I've been on a journey to becoming a mother. And I remember talking to one of the doctors. I was doing IVF, and he's like, I've been doing this for 30 years. He's like, I understand 3% of how women conceive children. Like, 3% of how it happens. So there's something in the body, like it is physical, but there's something, it's multidimensional.
Yes, it's multidimensional.
It's the bridge.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
I feel like we could just be here like, whoa, this is so cool. And I wanted to ask you, what is the impact of doing this like work with called alchemizing emotion on our DNA? Because I know you talked about that. I've seen it. I think on your website, or I don't think you talk a lot about it on your social media, but I'm very curious.
So essentially, and like, I'll be curious to like what you have to say about this as well, because I'm sure you have like another layer on top of this. But essentially, if we think about basic epigenetics, right? Like, we are imprinted, our DNA gets imprinted with experiences, and especially, people don't talk about this, but if you look at like the research, it's emotion that is incomplete. So what happens is emotion gets into your body. You experience emotion in your body because really emotion, all it is, it's sensation in your body, like in the 3D sense. That's what it is. And so emotion gets imprinted on the DNA because it's not completed. And essentially what happens is it gets stored in your DNA, and think about it like a little like security box. What's that thing at the bank? The bank where you like go and you have to like turn the key with the like person. It's a security box. I forget what the safety deposit box, whatever. It's basically like a little vault. And so you take that little vault and it gets passed down through your lineage. I believe that it's passed down through your blood lineage, like your ancestors, but also through your soul lineage, because I believe, and this is woo-woo, but I believe we carry like our lifetimes in our DNA as well, like soul lifetimes. So what ends up happening is that information that gets stored in the little like safety deposit box, that's it, of your DNA, it gets stored until there's somebody who has the level of consciousness to unlock it. Someone who has the key. The key is just the level of consciousness, nothing else. And so what happens? We re-experience and re-experience and re-experience things that we have been holding in our DNA until we complete it. So what happens is, let's say I experience rage. Most of the time people react to rage. They try to shut it down or they act out or they're violent about it. Now, if I'm able to have total presence with it, I'm able to actually let my body metabolize it without creating any stories and just be in acceptance with what is, let my body do the work. What ends up happening is the emotion completes. And in that completion, that's where the vibrational shift happens. That's where the energy and information unlocks that's been stored for lifetimes.
When you say that information unlocks, because this is kind of like how when I work with it, right, I see it that every experience, every emotion, it holds a lesson. It holds a information that when integrated is helping us and our soul, both our human and our soul, to grow and to reach higher level of consciousness.
Yeah.
What do you perceive as information that gets unlocked?
So this is like, I can barely like hold this in my brain. I'm going to try and say it. See if I can transmit this. So, like the web of like reality across space and time, like how complex that is.
Yeah.
I'm not even just talking about everything that's orchestrated in my particular life. I'm talking about your particular life,
Yeah.
all of our ancestors, all of our lifetimes, all of that is weaving together.
Yeah.
Now, if we just think about ourselves, things that our ancestors passed through, things that we've passed through in other lifetimes is all information and energy that's being collected for us to do what we came here to do. I mean, they're waiting for somebody. Like, if it's not us, then it's the next one. Like,
Yeah.
waiting for somebody. It's like everything's being collected, so that by the time someone comes with their level of consciousness to unlock it, they've got everything that they need in order to do what they came here to do. Right.
Yeah.
So like, let's say for you, all of the things that your ancestors have been through, all the things that you've been through in your other lifetimes are all this
Yeah.
compounding information. It's just, can you actually access the virtue of it? Can you actually access the tools that it's setting you up with? And we could take it like a lesson. It could be a lesson, but it could also be a superpower. Like, think about even your sensitivity. Like your sensitivity when you were a kid or when you don't understand it, very, very difficult, very, very hard time. But those are your seeds for success. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do the frequency work that you do because you wouldn't have your sensitivity.
Yeah. I love this because it's so we have there's a specific practice, I forget what it's called, in theta healing, but it's the assumption underlying it is that on your lineage, if you go far enough back, your ancestors have mastered every single virtue there is to master. And when we basically master in theta healing, you can kind of have lists, which virtues need to be mastered to bend certain universal laws. And so, for example, to even communicate with them, let's say to bend electromagnetism, you need an insane amount of virtues. To bend time, it's quite easy. If you want instant manifestation, you need a huge amount of virtues that are really mastered. But the idea is that on your lineage, your ancestors have mastered every single one of them. Like maybe one of them mastered, one in their lifetime, but it's still there. And so there's a practice where you can travel back to that ancestor. You can complete any lessons, and then you can pass that virtue forward to yourself and amplify it 10 times. And so is this idea where you can travel back and forth, mostly you travel back, you could travel forth because time isn't linear, your actual lineage, and retrieve all of these virtues for yourself in this lifetime. And I was just like, this is like, I've never taught that before. Maybe I will bring it into, it needs to be the right group of people to do this with. But it's an insane thing you can do. Like, it's true. We actually, it's so similar to what you teach as well. Like on our DNA, we have everything already, which is just and now we're like, the consciousness has increased so much that we are actually able to master, hundreds of virtues in one lifetime, whereas before our ancestors maybe mastered, like, I think in theta healing it said like 1 to 4 in their entire lifetime. So I think it's so cool how like what you're essentially understanding and channeling is so similar to this. Like, that's so wild.
It's wild. And it's like the things, like, I channeled Crystalline Emotion before, and I'm sure you have this experience too. And for anyone who's listening who channels information, like, I channeled things, Crystalline Emotion before I really knew anything about, like, deeply knew anything about human design. And like, it's so much of it like maps on together. It's really crazy. Like, people who come into my world who are like super into human design are like, what? Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about it? I'm like, I didn't even know about that. Like the gene keys too. Like, the gene keys are a different frequency of human design, but like there's so many like 5D emotions in the gene key sequences. Like so many of them.
That's essentially it's the alchemy sequence there, right? It's the energy transmutation sequence, like for each of the ones. Like, it is so I feel more resonance with gene keys than human design in general. So it's like something I would like to dive deeper into as well, because it's just so like, it's like all these different little maps that are talking about the same thing, and it's just like, whoa. I actually want to take our conversation there. So let's bring in a little bit more of like the 2027 shift in human design, how that interfaces with, you know what? No, fuck it. I want to ask you one more thing before.
Okay.
What do you think about junk DNA in the context of that?
Well, I think it's funny to say junk DNA, because it's basically
ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. It's like it's everything that's getting ready. It's everything that can be turned on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
our potential. And it's like, that's essentially like when I first started downloading Crystalline Emotion, really the essence of it, like one of the first parts that came to me about it was like the shift that's happening between our 2-strand DNA going into the 12-strand DNA. Right. And so it's like all these capabilities that are coming online, like we're literally turning crystalline. We're going from carbon to crystalline. It's happening now. It's happening through our body. And so junk DNA isn't junk DNA at all. It's literally like what I was saying before in terms of like our perception. You know what I'm saying?
I remember like being in, I think we had epigenetics in one of my modules in the 3rd year of university. So that must have been like 2017. I had my spiritual awakening in 2018. And I was not like, at the time, I was still like very much in my, science, like way of doing things. And I remember learning this, and I was like, this is the most arrogant shit you could possibly do as a scientist. I'm like, you are looking at this molecule that literally holds the blueprint for life, and there's a massive part of it you don't understand what it does, and you have the fucking audacity and entitlement to call it junk. And I just remember, and I was like, wow, like, this is mad. And I genuinely think this is like the testimony to like the arrogance of the modern scientific community. It's like, we will call it junk because we don't understand what it does, but because we don't, we're just gonna assume it's like useless. Absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm just like, I would love to have like real-time sequencing and seeing like how it's shifting for people who are doing this deep frequency work. Because I believe similarly to you, I also think, humans are not purely human, right? Like we are, I think all of us carry DNA. There are like the whole theories about being, hybrid race, but I think a lot of us carry DNA from other, we could call it species, we could call it, galactic societies. And in theta healing, we do DNA activations as well as a part of it, of certain genes that have been switched off. Which also helps with, actually acclimating to the current world and toxicity. Like it helps with vitality and all of those things because, we don't live in great times in terms of that. So, but yeah, I wanted to ask you because it was like junk DNA always pissed me off and it hasn't changed to this day.
Junk, I don't know about that. But I also want to say, like, there's a lot of, like one of the aspects of 5D is that there is no like good, bad, right, wrong, anything like that. And so in the same way, like the things that, like, we could just say, like, even what you were just talking about, like the toxicity, we could say that's a bad thing, but also like, what if that toxicity drives us to turn on those dormant
Yeah.
capabilities? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like,
Yes.
that's the activation that happens. And so at the end of the day, like, if you really try to look at it from like, is it truly good and bad? You really can filter it down and be like, actually not. And
Mm,
that's the same thing that I
mm,
believe with like the things that we've experienced in our lifetime, or other lifetimes, like let's say trauma or like really difficult experiences, like those actually carry the seeds for our success.
yes.
Same thing with our ancestors' experiences, like those carry the seeds for our success. And the hard part, and part of why I had to leave the therapy world to even talk about this stuff, is because if you start to talk about it like that, there's an invalidation that can occur.
Yeah.
Because if that experience hasn't been like healed, integrated, if there hasn't been some basic, like, okay, coming to terms with this,
Yeah.
you know, like holding it, this is my experience, this is what happened, this is how it impacted me,
Yeah.
like making it through all of that, then you can't get to the seeds of success. You can't
Yes.
skip over that part,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
And I totally know this was like, this was really a shift for me. I think that occurred about a year and a half ago. And, I started doing deep inner work straight after my spiritual awakening. So at that point, it had been 7 years. It was really like a
Mm.
7 year cycle. And there was this distinct shift going from, really understanding trauma, processing emotion, like integrating it. And then I remember, and it was quick. I remember
Mm.
waking up one day and just having this thing of like, I just don't want to talk about that anymore. And not from a place of, like, there was just, it was so metabolized. It was so neutralized in my system. I was like, I don't want to be basing my identity in my life around what happened to me in the past. And he was like, I wanna know what's possible for me. I wanna know who I can become now that I have worked through that. And it was
Yeah.
such an interesting thing where I was like, wow, like this is the actual shift that's available. It's like, because in that processing period, right, when we are really coming to terms with what happened and feeling those emotions, it can be, there's a lot of identification with it, right? And I think that
Yeah.
can be healthy for the part
Hmm.
of the journey. Like you have to, you should never bypass that. It's not meant to be. But then a moment comes when you're like, but that was never me. Like that was
This.
the contrast so that I could see and understand who I really was. And it's such an incredible moment. It's so liberating. And you're just like, okay, cool. Now I feel, for me, it felt like I could actually start my life
Yeah.
at that point, because I was like, now I've integrated so much of it that those seeds are what's left over and they're beginning to sprout
Hmm.
and all that heaviness is gone. So it's
This.
like such a, and most of the people I work with, they are at that precipice and passing on to the other side where they're like, I want to know what's possible, because it's just
Hmm.
what opens up on the other side of that. I mean, literally no limits, which is
Nothing.
so cool.
Well, it's an interesting thing because a lot of people get stuck right there of the like, because no one's teaching this part. Like, like I've had people message me and be like, I've been taken down the path of like looking at all of my shadows and doing all the healing and doing all the trauma work and doing all the nervous system work. And it's like, and I feel like it leads me into a corner.
Yeah.
What then? Like, oh,
Yeah.
then we just keep on working on ourselves because we're always going to have stuff come up. That's true. We're always going to have stuff come up
Sure.
because we're infinite beings. But there has to be that moment in time where you experienced it very distinctly. But a lot of people don't even know that that's a thing to recognize.
Mhm.
And even people who are in the like a therapist profession or a healing profession aren't tuned into that
Yeah.
possibility. Because they've only been taught it's healing.
Yeah.
But when you heal, so much opens up because that so much density clears. It's virtually impossible. Like this probably happens for your clients too. Like it's virtually impossible to do this work and not become more psychic.
Oh, it's impossible. It's gonna
Like,
happen. Like
like my clients don't come to me to become more psychic, but it happens like e- every single time.
yeah, because you just become so much less dense, like, you're just so much more attuned, you just have the like, we all have psychic abilities, like, every single human has
Exactly.
them, it's just most of us carry so much density that, and you may not trust yourself, you may have been told, you shouldn't have them, but also people are just very, very, very dense, and when you're very
Yeah.
dense, it's hard to perceive the subtle realms, like, it's just there's dissonance, right?
Yeah. which this actually like leads me into the question that you had about the 2027 mutation.
Let's go.
So I am not an expert, but my work is very much connected to the 2027 mutation, because essentially what it is we're moving from being really mentally the main like operating system being here in the ajna, and actually the main operating system moving into the solar plexus, which is responsible for emotion. And it's also big, like connected to the nervous system. So this is why we have all of this talk and, big stuff about the nervous system, because our nervous system has to be strong and resilient in order for us to receive everything that's coming through our solar plexus. So essentially, your emotions are very, very, very high frequencies that are coming from your highest, most unconditioned self, coming through your body. And what happens when there's a very high frequency that's coming through an instrument that is not very highly tuned? You're going to get a lot of distortion.
Yep.
It's going to be really unpleasant. And this is why a lot of people, when they go through a spiritual awakening, their nervous system is recalibrating, and they will feel often like so tired. Like ascension symptoms are essentially like the upgrade of your system being able to receive higher frequencies. And so basically what's happened is, on a collective level, all of our solar plexuses are mutating so that we can receive these higher frequencies, so that it can be the main operating system. So it goes from really being in an era of like planning and strategy, into spirit coming into form, basically. So it's like all beyond logic. We create from beyond logic, which is very natural to us, because how is life created? It's not through logic. Let me tell you now.
Nope.
Nope. And so it's the friction between spirit and form. That's essentially what it is. And so part of what's happening is everybody going through this massive awakening is so their vessel is updated to be able to tolerate these very high frequencies coming through. And also why so many people, when you go through a dark night of the soul or a spiritually awakening, emotionally fucking intense.
Oh
Why?
my God, yes.
Right. because all of your system is getting calibrated to a higher frequency. And so you're going to experience an insane amount of emotion coming through. And that's and it seemed maybe at the time like, this is so intense, I don't know how I'm going to even like live through the thing. But it does, if you let it happen, it will actually like go all the way through. And so this is really important when it comes to being incorruptible, because as we move into that main operating system being the solar plexus, what's also happening is we can feel each other so much more. Like in 5D, and like I believe this is also part of like movement into the new earth and 5D, but like in 5D, you can't lie. Your energy doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you can say whatever you want to say, but the transmission is coming through. And so we have to be so clean. We have to be so clean, because otherwise, how will we be able to tolerate being connected if we're not clean? You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm walking around with people don't tolerate it now, like people who are awakening now, people who are, on their spiritual journey or personal development journey, how many times are they like cutting off toxic family members or friendships because they're like, can't do it. Your level of consciousness isn't there. You're not clean on your side of the street, and I can't do it.
It's not even, straight up for me toxic. It's just like I've had friendships and people that just had, every time when I was around them, I just felt like I was the one helping them see things differently. There was so much limitation in their field. There was so many limiting beliefs, so much density. I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I would rather stare at the wall for 5 hours than have another conversation around this. And people are like, oh, this is arrogant. I'm like, no, like it is, I cannot do this, because when you have two people at like vastly different frequency levels, then one person is pulling up, and it's just like always going to happen. And I'm like, I can do this, but not for free. This is literally my job. I cannot entertain friendships where I'm basically doing my work without getting paid. Like, this is not happening. And I've been talking to a lot of people who have been experiencing similar things recently, that they've spent a lot of time like alone in nature, in silence, because it's just, if it feels like the and I don't want to make, these kind of things like as a grand statement, because I'm like, maybe it's just me, but it feels like it's getting more pronounced. Like these
Hmm.
differences are getting more pronounced, and it's getting more draining. Like I feel my system getting drained so quickly now when I'm around people. I'm like, not this conversation again. And I'm like, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't have like and it's not, resentment. I'm like, just, I can't, like,
Mm-mm.
it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like you will if if we're not willing to if there are people that are close to us, we're willing to try and like say the
Yeah.
things, or like or if it's our client, obviously like we support there. But like at a certain point in time, there's like peace, and then there's just not the attraction to.
Yes.
And I'm not saying anything like romantic. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like there isn't the attraction to spend time together, not on their part and not on yours. Like there could be a lot of love there too, actually.
Yes.
Like I've had friends that are like, they're just not in the like, they're very healthy as human beings, but they're not necessarily like awake. And it just feels like there isn't a draw so much.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I love you, but I'm not feeling like, oh, I miss you, I want to spend time with you. It's like, there's just, and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean I love less. It's just that you can feel the separation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there will be like people who will then like end up like, it just recalibrates all kinds of social relationships. At the end of the day, we're becoming more sensitive, but the energy is becoming more transparent, and that's happening at the same time. And so for me, especially as an emotional projector, like I have that defined solar plexus. If I go around in the world and I'm not grabbing my emotion, like I don't own that, then it's pollution,
Yeah. Same.
essentially.
Same.
And it's not like, oh, I can never have any emotion. It's like if I get on a if I have to get on the phone with AT&T or something, that's like the telephone carrier that
Yes.
I have, and I know that it's going to be like a tough conversation, and then maybe I'm frustrated, I will say on the phone, I'll be like, "Hi, Bob, I want to let you know I'm calling with this particular thing that I need help with, but I also need to let you know I'm pretty frustrated right now. So I'm just going to grab that so that you don't have to, wonder what's going on in my voice." Like
I love
I
that.
do I do feel frustrated. It's not your fault, but we're going to keep on going. So I
Yeah. I love
grab
that.
it so someone else doesn't have to be responsible for
Yeah.
it, especially an undefined solar plexus who's going to
Yeah.
grab it
And amplify it.
and amplify it, just
Poor
like
beings.
chaos.
I feel for them because I know how intense my emotions can get. And then I'm like, and you feel it more? Like, that's not fair. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Exactly. So I feel like your work and my work are really important as to support the solar plexus mutation, because it's happening no matter what. Like
Yeah.
COC, it's happening, but it's like, as if we have the tools to be able to actually like clean it up so that our frequencies are clean and clear as
Yeah.
much as possible, then we have so much more of a chance of being able to be to like share gifts, to create together, to bring forward a new paradigm. Because if we can have that clean interaction, then we're very available for connection.
Yeah.
Like the people who are like highly sensitive people where you're like, wow, that's becoming a lot more draining. You're completely available for interactions that where you're feeling that clear frequency between you and the person.
Oh, I could podcast with you for like 5 hours without getting tired. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
manager. If I do things that I love, they fill me up. But if they don't, I feel it really quickly these days.
Yeah. And I feel like everyone's probably feeling that. But if someone doesn't know their human design, if someone's not tuned into
Yeah.
frequency, then it will feel like something's wrong with them because they can't do what they could do before.
I wonder sometimes how people do it. Like, I've, been doing this work now for 8 years, and I have a pretty solid level of self-awareness, and I've also, followed astrological transits, seeing how they impact me. Went recently with what was the moon, Saturn going over my natal moon, Saturn
Mm,
return all at the same time, and
mm.
you feel it. And if I hadn't known at the time that, that's kind of a part of the deal. Like, this is, likely side effects of experiencing this is you're probably going to feel depressed occasionally, and
Mhm.
then people, I don't know, they may go, get meds and get checked up for things that are actually just natural processes unfolding in their bodies and their systems that are going to reveal something else on the other side, but need to be, worked with, and you need to be patient and you need to let them unfold. And I oftentimes wonder how people do it. And I know how they do it. A lot of numbing, a lot of substance, a lot of alcohol, like TV. Um, but I'm so grateful for having the awareness and these different tools to be able to be present with difficult emotions when they arise, with times when there's a lot of friction. Having this, we talked a lot in the live we did about fear, how recently
Mhm.
as we have been asked to really go to the edge and alchemize a
Mm.
lot of fear. And when those moments happen, not to go into like, oh my God, what is wrong? Oh my God, what am I doing wrong? But be like, this is the portal. Like, this is the
Yes.
portal into the next level. Like, it's not, the universe is never working against you, it's always working with you. But when you ask for something, when you ask for your next level, like, you're going to be given what you need to alchemize to get to the next level. And that may show up as a lot of friction. And if you don't lean in at that time, I mean, you don't have to, it's free will, but you're going to
Yeah.
have to at some point. It's just going to come up again when you're ready and be like, hello, can we do this now? And I think this is just the having the understanding of how this process works. Just I don't know how I would live without it at this point.
Eh, Same. Same. 'Cause I'll tell you, like, I'll be really honest, like, my particular like, the codes that I hold that have come through my DNA a lot have been a lot around irritation. Like, I am
Mm,
a very, very, very sensitive person. I'm talking, like, genetically highly sensitive person. Everything about me is sensitive. I can't even go to the dentist and they use that, like, spray tool to, like, clean your teeth. I have to do, like, the hand scaling. Like, I can't
yeah,
everything about me is sensitive, okay? Like,
yeah.
and my mom was the same way, and, like, the irritation codes, like, so much irritation, and I'm telling you, I am one of the most, like, loving people. Like, I feel with my whole heart, if you are loved by me, you are blessed. Like, I'll tell you now, someone probably feels the same about you, but if you don't, like, if you're on some kind of, like, outer layer of that, you're gonna see a very edgy woman.
Scorpio moon.
Mhm,
I'm
and
Scorpio ascendant. I feel you.
yeah. Yes, we both have Scorpio moon. Yes. So the feeling is like if if I didn't have these tools,
Yeah.
like the crystalline version, the 5D frequency of irritation is grounded truth. I'm
Mm,
here to be a representation of the truth. I have gate 39 as my sun in human design. That is the gate of provocation. I provoke your spirit into freedom. So I can't do that without being the truth.
mhm.
And it's not even like what I say, it could just be like you do something and my system will give you an accurate read. My
Yeah,
face will give you an accurate read. I cannot hide
yeah.
my shit. But if I'm irritated and I'm only in irritation and making up stories about why you're doing this and you're doing the wrong thing and all this stuff, like my accurate read isn't going to show up because I'm giving you irritation, which is get the fuck away from me.
Yep,
And also, I feel like shit about myself
yep.
when I'm doing that. And so it's like, in being able to metabolize that and really allow the frequency of truth to come in, I can be so much more loving and so much less like porcupiney.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
know?
totally get that. I mean, for me as well, right? Like, my moon is in Pisces, so I was extremely
Oh, you're the
sensitive
Pisces moon.
always. But I have a
Yeah.
Scorpio ascendant and I have my Mars and
Yeah.
Pluto trining my moon. So, like, Pluto exact trine, right? Like, to 1 degree. So you can imagine, like, I was like a ticking like bomb as a kid, because I hid all my sensitivity when I was getting, provoked, and I just put out the Scorpio. And I was like, my dad called me a cactus, spiky on the outside, soft on the inside. But I just like bottled all of that up, and I just look sometimes back, I'm like, I was such a horrible person to be around. Like, it was so just like irritation, like anger, frustration. It was just like, emanating.
Mhm.
But
Clear a
alchemizing
room with
all of,
that.
huh?
You could clear a room with that.
Oh my God. Like, I wouldn't want to be around like 10-year-old me, 15-year-old me. Like, not a chance. Like, props to all my friends back then, like hands down. Like I had friends. Like I sometimes look back, I'm like, those people were angels. But like it was the same thing for me, working with all the frustration and anger and victimhood and blame. Like it unlocked so much compassion, like so much love for people, so much understanding of like suffering, because there was a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, like really deep understanding of power. Because there were a lot of that trauma happened through power games where I didn't end up winning. And
Yeah.
you know, and it gives you so like what it creates is just like when you transform those things, it's the medicine that you hold. And I think this
This.
is the moment, like what you said, like 5D, the difference between 3D and 5D is perception. That's the moment when it neutralizes, right? And you look at all of the past stuff and you're like, it just is. Like, and I see why I had to go through all of this, and it's not bad anymore. And like, yeah, I can see how someone who hasn't done this work would call it bad, call it inappropriate, call it abuse. But also, I wouldn't be where I am today without it. And there's just like
Yeah.
no pain, like no charge left over. And like even the people, like for me, one of the biggest moments where I was like, wow, Alia, like you've really done the work. Had nothing to do with business, had nothing to do with money. It was when I came back home to my parents after being abroad for 11 years. And after my life falling apart, I moved back home and I was like, I'm not triggered. Like and I was so triggered before. Like my mom and I, we had like screaming matches at home, you know? And I
Yeah.
came back home, I'm like, I'm good. And it's not that I never get triggered, but I get maybe triggered, you know, once a month. And then I'm like, okay, I know exactly how to work with it. I'm not gonna, you know,
Yeah.
yell at anyone. I'm gonna go to my room, I'm gonna do the work, and I'm gonna be good the next day, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, like the fact that
That's
this is
huge.
possible. Yeah, it's immense. I did not, I was so scared going back home to my parents. I was like, this is gonna be a disaster. I'm gonna be back in the home where I got traumatized. I'm gonna be around people who traumatized me. I won't even be able to do my work because I'll be so upset all the time. I've been here for months now. I'm like, this is nice. I kind of don't want to move out. Like I will because I really need my own place. But
Yeah.
I'm like, this is cozy. And I was like, this is what is possible. Like this is what is
Yeah.
possible when you actually commit to the alchemy process and take responsibility for like, your life. That's what it
Yeah.
is, and not go into
Yeah.
like, oh, victim blaming. Whose fault it is? Blame is irrelevant. Like it just
Irrelevant.
it doesn't. It's not even a frequency at some point in your evolution anymore.
Right. And even if it does come up, because sometimes we do like, our like things flare up, like a trigger or whatever, but like then you know how to work with it as a portal, because blame, the 5D frequency of blame is sovereignty.
Mhm. Mhm.
As soon as you realize, okay, blame's here, you metabolize it through the body, you're immediately set free,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So this conversation actually like leads into what I wanted to ask you about, or what we wanted to talk about with regards to being incorruptible.
Yeah, let's go there.
So, yes. So, essentially, like what we were saying is that the leaders who are coming have been they've been prepared their whole life, I believe. But, like, especially in the last years, super, super prepared, being taken deep into initiations, doing so much personal work on themselves because it's very important that the leaders who are coming next are incorruptible.
Yeah.
Incorruptible by like dopamine, even because there's so much possibility for visibility, so much possibility for a financial, you know, success because of social media,
Yep.
because we can anyone has a channel, anyone can reach anybody,
Yeah.
you know? And so there's it feels to me like the women that I'm seeing are being like that. I think that we're all incorruptible on a soul level, but I feel like there's all of this work that's being done so that we can actually live that out.
Yes.
So that power doesn't become something that we wield, it's something that we use to raise the level of the water for all of the ships.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, so I think a lot of women who are coming have felt like, why hasn't it worked yet? Or why,
Yes.
they have a deep purpose and they're like, what's taking so long? What's happening? Not realizing that this is what they're being prepared for, because the way they work, and I'll say the way we work, because I believe
Yep.
we're part of it. It's like this entire current of women operates in a different way than the current leaders.
Yep.
Not to say anything, not to throw shade to any current leaders, but just the level of consciousness is different. Even the level of consciousness from 5 years ago is really different. I mean, things are going fast, like it's exponentially rising, and especially for people who've already been on this path for a long time. So we can talk more about that in a second, but we're in a really interesting moment for you right now,
Mm.
where it was like literally the day before we went live on Instagram. I think it was the day before you posted a reel that
Yep.
went viral, like
Yep.
crazy viral.
Yep.
And I don't know where you started in your account, but I think you're up past 10, 12,000 followers at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And so,
We've gone from 500 to now close to 14,000 followers in 1 week.
okay, so this is crazy. So this
Yeah.
is a time when there's going to be a lot of activity for the nervous system, a
Yep.
lot of maybe dopamine. Also, like, I don't know what's been happening in terms of messages you received or comments, but there can also be, it's not just only good things, attention,
No.
like there people say hard things too. And so I'm really curious, like, because I believe that you're also in the space of being incorruptible and you're part of that wave, like, tell me like what's happened to your nervous system? Like, how is this
Yeah.
affecting you?
Yeah.
And let's go from there.
I was actually extremely surprised that it actually didn't phase me.
Interesting.
And I know this is the consequence of, a lot of work that I've done. And I, I have seen this with myself and I've seen this with other women that I've worked with where there is a level of a woman where integrity is really the number one priority. And that's it for me.
Hmm.
And I have seen myself blocking myself subconsciously from expanding my reach, my influence, until I feel that I reached a point where I can stay in integrity and actually hold the line. And I've said this before. I think there are a lot of leaders who are coming in this space who are struggling to make as much money because they were
Hmm.
blocking themselves from getting bigger subconsciously because they knew they weren't ready.
Yeah.
And I know that's true for me because I'm very, I don't want to use the word critical. I was raised to be extremely critical, but critical can also mean discerning when
Yeah.
integrated. I know myself very well. And I know when I'm out of alignment and I don't want to pollute the energetic space when I'm out of alignment. So for me, visibility was one of the biggest things that was a struggle for me. And I knew all throughout why that was. And it had nothing to do with strategy. It had everything to do with me knowing on some level that my nervous system wasn't ready for it yet. Like I would get triggered by it, I would collapse underneath it. And now it reached a point where the time was ripe. And
Hmm.
I I have been able to stay completely grounded with this. Like there was absolutely, there's it's like holding two parts and there's a part of you that's going like, holy shit, this is insane.
Hmm.
And then there's the other part that's like, and nothing changes.
Hmm.
I think this was the part like seeing, I took some like precautions in the sense of like when I wake up in the morning, I don't check my social media until,
Yeah.
I go outside, I ground, I drink my green juice. It's like I eliminate dopamine in the morning. Because I know that it's gonna be there. It's just how social media works. This morning, I went horse riding and I didn't even check any of my stuff before I was back. And when I'm, with my family or anything, like my phone's not with me. Like I don't mix those things. So I
Yeah.
have my time very specifically assigned to it. But there has not been a moment where I felt like I was getting ungrounded because of it. Also like when I receive hate messages, I I genuinely don't care. Like I can read
Mhm.
that and I can feel compassion for the person because I can see
Yeah.
their perspective. Like, you know, my reel was about Ozempic and it was calling out the fact that this is really not leading anyone to a higher state of consciousness or a higher state of well-being. And of course, there's a lot of people who don't want to hear this because quick fixes are so tempting. And I understand how
Yeah.
tempting, especially for someone who may have been struggling with that for a long time. And it's never
Yeah.
going to change the fact that, you know, the root cause will never get addressed through that. But I can feel so much compassion for those people because I understand that. Like, I struggled with chronic conditions since when I was born, like for decades. Like, I know what it feels like for you to feel like you've tried everything and nothing works.
Yeah.
And you've never tried everything and you've, you know, like otherwise you would be healed. And I think this was the biggest part was that it just didn't matter. Like it didn't matter because it was like, I know I'm speaking from a place of truth. I'm speaking from a place of alignment. I'm speaking from a place of love. Like to me, truth is the highest form of love we can offer. It's the one that a lot of people won't want to accept because truth will oftentimes, you know, not go together with your belief systems, and that's going
Yeah.
to trigger you. But to me, I know that it's none of my business what people think. Like that I cannot control others. I don't want to control others. The only thing that's important for me is that I'm in alignment, I'm in integrity, and I share the actual truth that I'm here to share. And then whatever
Yeah.
is done with that is done with that. Like that is none of my business. And also on the other hand, I received a lot of really beautiful positive messages that also um you know, I received a lot of messages from people who were like, you put words to something I haven't been able to articulate, but I'm so happy because now I understand why I felt such resistance. You know, all my friends are taking Ozempic and I really, I don't want to. And I
Yeah.
haven't been able to articulate why. And now I actually have words for what I've been feeling. And this has been incredible, but also being able to stay grounded in, you know, a lot of people being like, oh, can you advise me on this? And can you advise me on that? And I'm like,
Mm.
no, I cannot. That's none of my thing. And even people who are like, oh, can you help me with this? Like, can I work with you? And I'm like, no, I can refer you to a different person. I'm not the right person for you. And really being able to keep this, you know, clear discernment, not getting swayed by, you know, money, not getting swayed by even PR opportunities and stuff. I was like, no, that's definitely not aligned. Not getting swayed by either positive or negative comments. And for me, it's always, you know, even with my mentor, she was like, cool, let's do a list of topics that could really help expand your reach. And I'm all up for that. And before I, you know, do any content on any of those topics, I'm going to connect with creator and I'm going to make sure this is actually in alignment. Like I'm not going to do it just for the sake of going viral, just for the sake of triggering people, just for the sake of doing this, because that was never the point. Um, and so for me, this has been a process that's been really kind of highlighting how easy it is to have discernment between what is the external, you know, like kind of taking on other people's projections, taking on other people's expectations versus just like, what is my alignment? What is my truth? And moving from that unconditionally. And
Mhm.
I've been very pleased with that actually, that I've been
That's
able to,
amazing.
yeah,
I think that's I mean, I think it speaks to the work that you've done on yourself until now. And I feel like, maybe you have something to say about that. Like if there's something, that you were like, I did theta healing on this. I did, and it might be like layered into lots of things, but like the level of, because it's not only the work that you did on yourself to not be swayed, but it's also the piece of like sober self-awareness. You know what I'm saying? Of being like, my nervous system isn't ready, because everyone wants to think like, oh, I've done a lot of work on myself. Like I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And like, it's like, hold on, man.
yeah,
Like we have to be able to really know that,
yeah,
because we being sensitive, the energy being ever more transparent, like we, even if our mind says like, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, we will not allow it.
yeah,
But the thing is like unconsciously we're not, or subconsciously we might not be allowing it. And then consciously we're saying like, I want it. And you're immediately then creating like friction there.
And I
So
think
maybe you have stuff to say about that.
so much of it is that we want things, we think we want things we don't want. Like, I never
Yeah.
I never wanted massive visibility at any point. Like, I built, a chapter of my brand around hitting five-figure cash months with, like, 200 followers. Like, I could do
Mhm.
that. Like, money and followers, they're not entangled on the energetic level. Like, you don't need a lot of followers to make a lot of money. You can go out there and sell, one 200K package, and you need one person. Like, who the fuck cares how many you have? Um, and I didn't want a big following, and this is like I've never liked the limelight. I never wanted to be the center of attention. I was always somehow
Yeah.
put in the leadership positions and all these things. Even as a kid, I always hated it. I was like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna be the main role in this, like, drama play." I was like, "No." "Oh, you're gonna lead this, like, school performance." I was like, "Oh, no, I don't want to." It always happened. I never wanted it. And it was the same here, but I think also, there is a level of immaturity in the coaching space as well that I see, and I have a lot of compassion for it, but there's a lot of hype-based, coaching where coaches I remember a few years ago, 2 years ago, maybe, I think it's about 2 years ago, I was, it was like a master class that another, she's also a theta healer, her name is Stephanie Carlin. She's brilliant. She's an artist and a theta healer. She also works with artists and entrepreneurs in their businesses. Um, and she did a master class and she was doing some coaching. And it was one person came on and was like, I need to make some money quite quickly. Like, I have these and these things to pay, blah, blah, blah. And it was the first time that I've heard a coach look at someone and be like, are you good at what you do? You know?
Hmm.
Because there's so much of this whole narrative of like, you all should be making so much money. I can do this. You can do this too, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but is that true? Are people actually integrated? Are people actually trained? Like, are they walking the talk? Or are you telling someone who did, one life coaching certification that they should be making 7 figures a year because why, you know? There's no, like, shade, but, like, having this self-awareness with, like, am I actually ready to impact people, to influence people? Like, this is humongous responsibility to be influencing, thousands of people, like, for them to
Yeah.
be watching your content. Like, this isn't to me, I am aware how malleable we are. I'm aware that especially if you have people who are in more vulnerable states, which we are when we're healing trauma, you absorb a lot of stuff and you have a lot of attraction points in your subconscious that are maybe not actually amazing. Like, you have probably still a lot of attraction points for fear. You have a lot of attraction points for drama. You have a lot of, you're not sovereign in yourself. It is a humongous responsibility what we're actually putting out there. And
Yeah.
I actually think there are a lot of people in this space who aren't aware of that, who are taking this as like a bit of a, game. It's like, oh, I can go on Instagram and I can get so many followers and people can like watch my videos. I'm like, but are you aware? Are you aware that the person on the other side, and we're not responsible for what other people do, but we are responsible for having ethical considerations with what we're doing. We have that
Yeah.
responsibility. And I think it's such an important aspect that oftentimes gets lost in this game for let's just make more money, let's just create better marketing, let's just sell this thing and that thing. And it's like, hold on, but are we aware of the relationship? Like, what is the energy we're putting out? What are we imprinting into the collective? What are we imprinting into our space-time fabric here? Um,
Mhm.
and this is something that's been always very important for me. And because I hold very, very high standards for myself and my work. Like, it's one of my main actually shadows in human design, for my unconscious moon, is having unrealistically high standards. But I
Mhm.
actually don't think that's bad. Like, yeah, if it's limiting me, if that means I'm not sharing my work, that is a limitation. But also, I think we should have really high standards. I think we should understand that. And also, I'm going to, this is a total perfect expression of the shadow, but the world we live in has very fucking low standards. So oftentimes what we consider as high standard is not that high of a standard. Like, it really
Yeah.
actually isn't. And I think it's really important that that level of excellence is present, that level of self-awareness is present, where, I can say now with full confidence, like, I can guide someone through almost anything that happens. because I've done so much work. I've processed so much trauma. Even, maybe I didn't experience some of the very difficult things in my own life. I've done a lot of ancestral trauma processing, a lot of the
Yeah.
processing of, my great grandmother who, like, she lost everything in World War II. Like, her daughters were burned alive by the Gestapo. Like, she lost like every single thing. There was a lot of trauma processing that I've done that was never completed for that side of the family. And I'm now at the point where it's like, you can come to me with all, like, I don't think you can shock me with anything at this point. Like, I've worked with dark magic, I've worked with murder energy on the ancestral line, like with clients.
Mhm.
But this took so many years. This took so
Yeah.
much commitment. This took so much discernment. This took so much strength. And to me, the most important thing is always going to be the level of, integrity and honesty and truth I can bring into this space. And I do think it takes a huge amount of work to be able to do this. I don't think just anyone can do it. Like, it takes this work. And I think this is
Yeah.
such an exciting thing about this new wave of leaders coming in, that they've done the work. And many of them have been doing this work for a long time, quietly behind the scenes, with no one clapping, with no one seeing, with no financial or any other reward for it. But I think going forward, this is going to pay dividends, really,
Huge.
because it's what is gonna be sought after so, so, so much in the next decades and really hundreds of years that are now ahead of us.
Yeah. And I feel like that, like, I feel like it's such an important conversation to have because so many of those women feel unseen.
Yeah.
And and being unseen is part of it. Like, it's part of the preparation, but it's almost like I can feel in the collective like a wariness,
Yes.
in a
Yes.
sense. And it's like I just want to say, like, you're there. Like, you're right there, you know? Like, we're all right there.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it necessarily has to be anything like dramatic, but I think that there's like I don't know if I experienced this a little bit in terms of like what I saw with my friends when especially like when it came to like romantic relationships. Like, we have an age difference, but like all in like my late 20s and 30s, I was seeing like there's like, everyone's getting married and everyone's doing all this stuff. And then there would be like an entire like section of women, and I'm talking about these are the most high quality women, the women who are like doing the most work on themselves, the ones who are the most successful in their careers. They would stay single for a long time.
Yeah.
And it would be like some of them could get caught in the hamster wheel of like righteousness and like I've worked on myself and like there's no good guys out there and all that stuff. But there were the ones who were always like on her path, like, I'm not giving up my peace.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just be in a relationship to be in a relationship. If it's not making my life better, then, and they were ready to be in that like real, like feminine place, not just like desperation and grab
Mm.
somebody. And I feel like that same thing is
Yeah.
happening in the online space,
Yes.
because there are people who are like, I'm going to make a buck. Like, and they might even be like, they're really talented and good at what they're doing, but there's the swayability that's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're going to prioritize other people's projections, opinions, like the thoughts of like, what should I do in order to X, right? Like, what should I say to make money? Which is it's a conditional, it's a transactional energy. And I've
Hmm.
totally got caught up in that before. And all of it is stemming from, the false assumption about reality that you cannot have what you desire without sacrificing something else, right? Like, you
Hmm.
can. And I remember, like, it was a few weeks ago, it was before the reel went viral, and my mentor asked me, she was like, "What do you actually want, Elia?" And I was like, "I want to have really deep conversations with people and get paid for that." And I went viral with a reel about fucking Ozempic. Like, I teach entrepreneurs, and I'm having my DMs now full of people being like, "How can I work with you?" Like, all of this. And I'm like, "Oh, this is breaking every single rule that I was ever taught about marketing." everything else, like, it never worked before because the frequency behind it was not it. It wasn't my actual genius. Like, my genius isn't to, teach you how to make more money. Like, yeah, that's gonna happen, but I have a shit about that. I wanna see humanity rise. Like, I wanna see us have conversations around what is the actual truth. It is reality that got inverted, like upside down, like everything we're being taught, most of it is a complete inversion of what's actually the truth underneath it. And I think this is the new paradigm is requiring this. It's requiring a different assumption. Like the same as, like I said this to you and I posted it on my stories, but it's the actual truth that when my Instagram exploded, one of my first thoughts was, I cannot wait to use this platform to promote and like share all the incredible other people that have changed my life that are doing this work. Like that was one of my first thoughts. And I was like, whoa,
Mhm.
like it's cool to have this as one of the first thoughts. It wasn't like, I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see how much money I can make now. Like I know I'm going to make a lot of money, but it's not the point.
Right.
And I'm like, this is, we can like, I feel like, it's like a part, I'm a part of the game now with all of
Yeah.
these incredible other leaders that literally incarnated here in this time to bring in a totally different paradigm. I have zero fucking interest in, building my own like company there. It's like isolated from like I want us to, we are leading a new movement together.
Yeah.
This is a new paradigm. This is a new timeline. And we can use like it's on us to choose the assumptions that we build it with. Right? It's like the law of
Yeah.
assumption is like above any other law. Like forget law of attraction. Like you go don't give a shit. That's like baby shit, right? But like what is the assumption about reality that we have? Is like, do we believe that we can only make a lot of money if we're in competition? Like, who said
Right.
that? Right. And so
Right.
much of the reality we're seeing today is built on assumptions that are bullshit. It's like false scaffolding. Like it's
Yeah.
literally this reality is built on scaffolding that is so fragile. It is so easy to break. Like there's no substance to it. And we are choosing totally different assumptions. But in order to be able to do this, we have to do the amount of work that even gets us to the level of consciousness where we understand that that's how reality works. It's like holographic projection. It's not like
Yes.
we are not bound by anything external. Like it's us creating. We can choose whatever we want. And if I choose that I want to make a fuck ton of money just having cool conversations, never directly selling again, promoting other people, I'm going to make a fuck ton of money that way. Like I don't have to sacrifice any of that. And this is to me where
No.
it gets so exciting that now we're at the level where a lot of us can connect with the same level of understanding and be like, what is the greater vision we are actually, what are we envisioning? What are the underlying assumptions? And then how do we get there? Like let's co-create.
Yeah. I love that. And I feel like there's a couple of things here. The first one is, when it comes to the online space, the focus being around the transaction. What can I get? Like, oh, like people coming into a space and being like, I need to make money to pay for this thing. Like, what should I offer? I'm just like,
Ugh,
what? What?
get a
Like
job.
for me, I'm just like, I don't want to be any part of that kind of
Yeah.
transaction. And but the conversation I feel like we need to start having is about the quality of care with
Yeah.
our clients.
Yeah.
Like in the therapy world, we have this, like we do consultation. I'm sure that you also have it in your like your profession, like,
Yeah.
your trade. But like we get into the online space and people are consulting about their product suite and consulting about their followers or how much they're making in a month. But like, what about what Stephanie said in her masterclass, like, are you good at it? Are your clients getting quality care? Like, what's it like for the people who are in your world? What are they receiving?
Yeah.
And also, like, how is this experience that you're having right now that's highly transactional? How is that coming into your relationships? Because it can't not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to be having way more conversations about the quality of care.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, I mean, it's for the collective, but it's also for your own health. You know what I'm saying? Like the health of your business, for your own health. And then I feel like there was something else that you were talking about as well. Like, I think that also when it comes to, being in leadership that isn't in competition, being in power that isn't in competition, it's not about a hierarchy, requires a lot of self-awareness. It requires neutralization of the fears that come up around someone taking your thing or
Yeah.
someone being better than you.
Yeah.
Like inside of my certification for working with 5D emotion, like it is very much like a co-creative process. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to come in, I'm going to give you a, you know, kind of like some scaffolding around what this is and what this might look like, some basic tenets so you know what this is. And then the entire rest of the program is about finding how that works in your business,
Yeah.
not the way I do it, the way that's natural and in alignment for you. And the women inside have come to me and be like, I feel like I'm not getting this, or what about this idea? And there is zero ego on my part of being like, well, that's not part of the program, or
Yeah.
like anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what you need?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's find a way to like make this better so it suits everyone who's in this space and you get
Yeah.
exactly what you need,
Yeah.
you know?
And for me, it's such a similar thing. And for me, it was very much, I decided to raise prices for CEO frequency because I was like, I want, like, for me, it's so important that you, when you are in my space, like, I give you so much attention and so much support. Like, I don't do these like mid-ticket programs where, you get a curriculum and then you get a call with me once a month. Like, why? What the fuck is the point? You're gonna have another course in your, computer fucking graveyard of all the other programs you spent thousands on, and you're gonna have a million questions. Like in CEO frequency, people have, we have like at least 2 calls a month. If we need more, gonna add more. They get access in Telegram, 3 days a week, like 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. They get their questions answered. I fucking love doing this work. If there are more materials that are needed, I'm gonna record the materials. I'm like, I'd rather you pay me more money so I have, the financial like projection going forward. So if this comes up, I'm like, I have time, I have space, I'm gonna create stuff for you because this
Yeah.
is the most important thing. And then secondly as well, I always tell people there, I'm like, what I want you to get out of this is like, I want you to use this curriculum to practice your connection to creator. I'm going to teach you the process because you need the foundations. You need to understand how it works. But I want to teach you this so that you develop like a crystal clear channel with creator. Also, no fucking Kool-Aid drinking. You don't have to agree with me. Like, if you have a different opinion, have a different opinion. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's fine. Like,
No
if you tell
Kool-Aid.
me, Alia, my business is about like 180 opposite of what you do, I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to help you with it. Like, I'm going to do everything I can. Like, this isn't about me. And I want you
That's
to
it.
like get out of this program having crystal clear connection to creator, having full understanding of your subconscious, and then take this process and make it your own. And I
This,
hear this from my clients, they message me 6-12 months later, and they're like, I still use your meditations every single way, and now I do this process, and I added this, and I'm doing this thing, and it's working for me like this. And I'm like, I am so happy for you. Like, this is it. This was the entire intention. I want you to be autonomous. I am never in my life, Adrian, building an offer suite where people have to keep paying me. Like, I don't, again, you know what I mean? The assumption of reality that this is the way to make money. I'm like, what are we fucking doing? Oh, I'm going to give you
right?
this little bit in this program and this little bit over here and then this little bit over here. Like, why? Like, it's so much work for
Hmm.
me. Like, it's such a waste of
Yeah.
money for you. It's so like, it's codependent. Like, it is so
Yes.
codependent. Like, this is not the point. Like, we are here to help people become so empowered, so to remember who the fuck they are, to remember what they have the capacity to do. And then if you want to stay in my world, you will, because it's aligned. And if you come into, my one masterclass that's free and you get what you need and I never see you again, equally perfect. Like, I don't
Yes.
care. And I
Yes.
think this is something that for me in so many spaces that I was in, like, I was like, does no one think that way? Like, and of course there are people who do, but so much of it is like, oh, and like offer ascension system and like conversion and upsells and this and this and that. And I'm like, I'm gonna leave because otherwise I'm gonna vomit.
I'm gonna leave.
It just never sat right with me. But I think it's also, like, I'm just glad, looking back, I'm so glad none of those things worked for me because I also
Yes.
don't think I don't think I trust the past version of me enough that if those things had worked for me, I, would have changed them because it's hard to change when things are working. And instead, this really,
Hmm.
forced me to keep evolving and keep getting more and more true to myself to the point where the only thing that worked was being in complete integrity.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy because what I've built this way, it feels so aligned, and I have zero hesitation to like allow people into my offers subconsciously, because I'm like, you're gonna get amazing care. And I did this recently, like I started CO frequency in February, and I did it for
Yeah.
the wrong reason. I did it for
Okay.
like, I need to make money. In
Yeah.
the both previous rounds of CO frequency, I sold them out like this. I got
Yeah.
2 people in.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't right. And then I was trying to force creating some extra content. And it was good content, like it's great content, but it's not it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And 2 weeks ago, I sat down and I was like, I don't like this. And so I messaged both of the people who are in, and I'm like, ladies, I am not happy with the energy that's been provided because I started this from the wrong place. I'm going to re-record some of the contents because it's not what I want there. And what we're going to do is that I'm not going to count any of the time we did so far towards like this, and we're going to restart a contract in April, the 6 months, because I want you to get the experience and the energy and the care that I know the space is meant to be. And I'm not I don't I'm not available for any other way of functioning. Like, it has to feel energetically clean. Um,
Yeah.
and I think this is also the reality for a lot of this new wave of leaders, is that their systems don't allow deviations from integrity.
Mm-mm.
And I know mine
Mm-mm.
doesn't. I cannot do it. I will get physically sick if I'm out of alignment with myself. I will feel it like so viscerally. I will be so not happy. And I can have every coach tell me, oh, but it's good enough what you offer. And I can objectively see it's amazing work. But I'm like, but it isn't it. It's not why I was sent
Mm-hmm.
here. And I will be subconsciously, I will block myself from actually creating success through that pathway because it's
Yes.
not the right one.
It's something that I experienced when we were talking about going to the edge, on our live, like as soon as it comes to like the one step that's going to take it to something that's a no for me, like on a soul level, like will not be on board with this. Like there is like, it's almost like I'm paralyzed. Like it
Yeah.
cannot move forward. Like it's like, stop.
Yeah.
Like right here, like, okay, you got everything that you needed to do by going down this path. So like for you to do the CEO frequency and start it in the way that you did, very valuable experience for you and for the clients inside to see that, but also to see the incorruptibility
Yeah.
that's there.
Yeah.
And like what I found is also that for the people who I've seen in my time on Instagram go from a small account to really like blowing up their accounts, every single time it's been because they're so clearly in their space, so clearly in their alignment. And it doesn't even matter. The aesthetic doesn't matter. The
No.
topic doesn't matter. And there's no formula that's like this person did this and this person also did that and that's why they grew. It's because they're completely in their space.
Yeah.
And that is another version of the incorruptibility, because you can also see someone have like some success with like a certain type of content and then they'll try to replicate it. But if that replication is not in full alignment, also will fall flat. Like
Yeah.
like what you said, like your subconscious just like won't allow
I
it.
know.
That's what's happening with this wave of women, because they're looking for the formula because they know they have something big to bring. And
Yeah.
it's like, as long as you're looking for anything that's not you, as long as you're trying to do anything that's not you, it won't work. And it doesn't mean you can't experiment, because that's definitely there, because the experimentation, just like you experience with the CEO frequency, it has gifts in the process.
Yeah.
But it's like the amount of like, you cannot go past here, and I don't care if you want to,
Yeah.
is so clear in the energy of this wave of women.
It's like the Gandalf moment, it's like you shall not pass. And I feel like there's just like it's like holding the line. And I think it's like there's just a level of soul frequency that, like, because souls exist on different frequencies, there are like different harmonics, and there are souls on this planet that came here to play and explore and have fun, and then there are souls who they came here to like totally have all these things, but they're here with a mission. And I know, like, I've hated this a lot of times. I've never spoken about this before, but I've done Akashic records readings, and I've done
Yeah.
other like readings and like conversations with my guides. My guides are like the worst bunch, you guys. Like, I remember having that first Akashic, I love them, but I remember having that first Akashic Records reading, and the reader on the other side was like, they're really harsh. She's like, I've never seen this before. And they're just like, Alja, what are you doing? They're like, there's like none of like, she's like, why are you're fucking around? Like, why are we doing this? Like, you're just like bullshitting. They're like, so to the point. They don't talk to me. They don't talk. If I'm having like questions about shit that's irrelevant, they do not talk to me. And I was like,
They're
wow.
all business.
Like, and normally she's like, I do these readings and they come in and they're normally so like loving and compassionate, because I was in like one of those spots where I was really, like struggling. They were like, no mercy. It was so funny. And I think they're just like, some souls which is like, you have been doing this for so long. Like, you have this knowing, and then you try to like hit your head against the wall. You try to follow the formulas. You try to follow the rules. Like, you're doing the things the way the others are doing them. And you're just getting like stopped in your tracks, because it's like, you're not here for this. And the reality is that like, you're not here for that. Like, I have known for years that like, if I try to follow other people's rules, not happening. Anyone who's seen my charts, anyone who's seen my human design, they're like, you cannot do this. And I'm like, but let me try for like a 76th time in a row. Like, what about this three-step framework? And shocker, it didn't work, right? But it's like, and this is why for me, it's like, I think for you as well, there's just this level of like, your energy, like work with your energy, with your emotion, with like, it's the only work that matters. Like, strategy is gonna be important if it's gonna be important. Like, and you're gonna find the right mentors, the right people, you're gonna learn the skills, or maybe you're just gonna hire a fucking team and they're gonna do it for you. But like, you being in alignment with your actual truth, that's the key that unlocks everything. That's the key that unlocks everything. And if you are one of these women who are here to lead a new paradigm, you cannot succeed through the old one. You're not designed for that.
At all. Not at all. It's like, all I can just say is like, keep going. Like, keep going. Stop fucking around.
Yeah.
Like your guides say. I have a guide like that who's like all business.
Yeah.
She's like, she doesn't pull any punches.
No, it's like, it's so disappointing, sometimes you want just some like sweet validation, and it's like not happening. I had like last year, I was at like a business retreat with like my mentor, and it was in person, and she's like, it's very funny because she's like, you would never tell from her marketing, but she's actually extremely psychic, extremely psychic, but you only really get access to that in like higher level spaces. And I was there, I was like, Haley, like, I need you to call me out on my bullshit. Like, I know I'm like playing small, like all of this stuff. And we start having the conversation, and she looks at me and she's like, your guides, they're not playing with you because like, they're not willing to play at the level that you're thinking right now. She's like, they're not talking to you, they're not guiding you because the level that you think you want to operate on is so small compared to what you're here for. They're not going to play ball with you. And I was like, oh shit.
You're like, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, how do I get there? But it's true. They're just like, they're like, we don't have time for this shit. Like, you get your stuff together, or like, we're out of here, And I'm like, come on. Like, who's gonna love me? I have cats for that. I do know that. It's fine.
That's why you have your cats. I love that.
All right.
Yes.
I'm feeling pretty complete. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling that. Yeah. I feel like we got it.
Can you share with our listeners where they can find you and how they can work with you? And just because your work is just so incredible.
Yes. Instagram is my place to hang out. I love Instagram. I was never a social media person in my personal life. You don't know anything about me. If you're my friend before I started my business, you never knew anything about me on social media. But for some reason, I love Instagram and I will share everything there. My sister used to come on my Instagram to find out how I'm doing. So I give you the real deal in my stories. That's my place to hang out. 5D Crystalline Emotion.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yes. I am getting ready to release something that I'll give you the link for the show notes.
Yes.
And it is, I haven't talked about it publicly until right now.
Wow.
Terrifying. I'm fucking terrified to do this when I'm doing it with you. There are over 150 5D frequencies of emotions. Like I've downloaded 150 over time. It's like if you were wondering how many emotions there are in the world, there's over 150. Okay. And there is an index from 3D to 5D, like a literal index that will tell you this is the 5D frequency of an emotion, or you can look up backwards. So if you're like, I wonder what the frequency of like an aligned desire, like what is the 3D portal? Like that's the 5D frequency. What's the 3D portal? You can look it up backwards. Because some people's systems actually can find the 5D frequency first. That will come to them first.
Wow.
And then they'll realize like, oh, I have been feeling a lot of frustration. And so you start to see emotion because you can feel the frequency. In any case, I'm going to make that accessible. That entire list.
Wow.
Yes. That is terrifying to me. Because my guides have always been like, do not give this as a bypassing tool. And there will be an entire wave of people who will use it as a bypassing tool.
Yeah. But that's none of your business.
None of my business. And then there will be other people who are like, oh, I mean, it'll serve lots of different purposes. For some people, they'll immediately like, it'll turn on 5D frequencies inside of them. Other people will want to work with it, blah, blah, blah. It's a range. So I'm going to give you that.
Wow.
Yes. I have a membership called Living Crystalline Emotion. And that is where literally you come and you have access to so many resources that are clean your relationship with 3D emotion, because we usually have a complicated relationship with 3D emotion, cleans that up and shows you exactly how to make the shift. And there's community, there's usually events. Like right now, the event this month is about 5D, you being able to identify 5D in your life, because not every person experiences emotion the same, and not every person experiences 5D the same. Like the way they contact it, the way it occurs for them is different. And so this is it's a Telegram experience to help pull through what your version of 5D is. So all of that is inside the membership. And then I have a certification called Source. It's a 6-month certification to bring 5D frequencies into your work. And it's for spiritual entrepreneurs who have client-based businesses. So you might never say 5D to your clients, but it's almost like having a secret in your back pocket where like your clients are talking to you or you're working with them. Let's say you're a massage therapist, you're a photographer, you're going to be able to see emotion and support them in shifting it to 5D. And people will be like, no one has ever seen me, gotten me. I've never been able to get past something, shift something in the way that I can with you. And so that is starting at the end of April.
That's
the second round.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
I love it.
Adrian, thank you so much for being here for this incredible conversation, and for the work that you do. Like it's
Thank you.
so beautiful, so pure. Like the frequency you're able to access, like what you are able to perceive and bring through is incredibly unique. So thank you for doing this work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me as a projector. That is the end all be all.
It's true. I love seeing projectors. I love working with projectors. You guys are incredible.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. I just have enjoyed every single moment with you.
Likewise. And thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back with the next episode soon.